this morning. So that's the latest from East Haven. Audrey Kuchin, Fox Connecticut.
Thanks, Audrey. And a deal between union workers and the Malloy administration has been rejected, which means as many as 7,500 state workers could soon face layoffs.
Fox Connecticut's Tom Lewis joins us, and he's got some more on what may come next. Tom?
Logan, good morning to you. What's next is union leaders are going to gather today to try to strategize on what they can do, because remember that union deal, that concessions deal, was rejected by the rank and file by quite a large margin. Now, Governor Malloy, shocked by this development, he was counting on that to fill that $700 million hole. So he goes back to plan A, which is those layoffs, thousands and thousands of people out of work. But today it's all about the union leaders. Can they get together and can they save this deal? Even though a majority of union members voted in favor of ratifying the deal proposed by Governor Malloy, union rules say 80% of the rank and file must say yes to get the deal done. As of last night, 57% of state union workers gave the thumbs up, not nearly enough to prevent massive layoffs. Union members we spoke to say the wage freezes were acceptable, but the changes in health care were not, especially for those whose safety is on the line, like corrections officers.
We walk one of the most dangerous beats in the state of Connecticut. People don't go into prisons for the salary that they do ultimately for their pension and for their health care.
Today, union leaders are expected to huddle up to see what can be done. Some are floating the idea of a possible revote or maybe even some changes in the union rules to allow for a simple majority to get the deal passed. If not, up to 7,500 state workers will get the pink slips. Lisa Marie Fontano says clarity on just what the changes would be to their health care would go a long way to reaching a compromise and saving jobs.
Ultimately, the questions left before us are what exactly is this health care? You could speak to 6 different people, get 6 different answers, and until we have a consistent answer, they will have a consistent no.
So now Governor Malloy is kind of boxed into a corner here. Remember, Friday is the beginning of the fiscal year, and he does have that very large hole to fill. He's been promising cities and towns he's going to try not to cut aid, but he's got to balance the budget. It is constitutional here in Connecticut. He's going to call for a special session. That will happen later this week, but the clock is ticking. Those jobs could be in jeopardy. Tom Lewis, Fox Connecticut. Logan, over to you.
All right, Tom, thanks. And this morning I'm joined by Republican State Senator Rob Kane, Democratic State Representative Matt Lesser, and current columnist and former Republican State Senator Kevin Rennie. So, gentlemen, good to have all of you here on the program. Thanks. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Let me just get all of your thoughts just in general. Senator, I'll start with you. I mean, what do you think of what's been going on here? No deal yet. We need to reach an agreement here pretty soon.
Yeah, I think from what I've heard from multiple state employees is that they're very confused about the process, not a lot of transparency, a lot of confusion in the health care package that was going on. So I think they were very worried, and I don't know if the administration and the union leaders did a good job of selling it.
Kevin, it does seem like the health care package did have a lot of confusing points to it.
Well, it wasn't confusing if you read it. But you can see why people would be put off. Voters in the unions are going to be put off. Look, it was always going to be hard to clean up the mess that Jody Rell left, and it's proving to be difficult. It's not smooth. There are options, and there's just more. Now we're going to see more than one in play.
Yeah, what do you think, Representative Lesser? What happens now?
Well, certainly there was a lot of confusion. I think the important thing is I have to run for re-election every 2 years, and if I ever got 60% of the vote, I would feel like I just won a landslide. You know, we just had 60% of state workers supporting these concessions. So I think it's important to take a step back, to look at that, to respect that, and understand that we should let cooler heads prevail. I think we have a lot of concerns going forward, a lot of big decisions to make.
It's an interesting
point. There have been hotheads, though. I think this has all been. The only odd thing was the charge by the union leaders that the Yankee Institute had somehow sabotaged this vote. But I think people were pretty rational about their interests and the long-term prospects of where this deal might lead.
57% of the union members voted for it. You need 80%, and that was put in place a while ago. So what happens now? Do you do a revote, or do you try to change the rules so that 57 and a simple majority will do the job?
Well, the governor has called us in for this Thursday. You know, he had the state troopers out finding 187 legislators to tell us we have session this Thursday. But I hope that we get to make those decisions. We start cutting spending. Let's not. We didn't get elected to allow someone else to do that. We need to do that ourselves. I heard on the radio this morning driving in that 65% of the people who responded said they want the legislature to make those decisions. So let's not just allow the governor to slash it with his own pen. I think we need to make those decisions.
Can we still save these 7,500 jobs?
Well, I mean, you could save some of them depending on depending on the cuts you make. But just go back to your earlier point. I don't think that anybody would really be comfortable with changing the rules until you get the result that you want. This isn't Venezuela. I mean, this is a democratic process. The rules have been out there for over 10 years, and we've had two previous concession packages. I think there would be no justification for changing very clear rules on a high stakes matter.
So ultimately, what do you think happens? Do you think the unions just say, all right, we put our best foot forward? Malloy is saying no more negotiating. He's going to send out these pink slips, right now, and if we don't change our tune here, a lot of us are going to be out of a job.
Well, the governor has a job to do, and he has a responsibility under the Constitution and under law to balance the budget. I think everybody is very upset when anybody loses a job. Certainly, if a company in the state were announcing 7,500 layoffs, people would be outraged, and we'd do everything we could to stop it. But at the end of the day, we've got to make a very tough decisions. And I think the message, though, that we're getting from our caucus is that there's no appetite right now for tax increases or for cuts to municipal aid.
Can they change some of the terms of the agreement so that the unions will like it better?
Certainly, I definitely hope that people keep talking to each other, that the frustration and anger that you hear from taxpayers, from state employees, and from the governor's office doesn't prevent folks from getting together and making sure that we're doing the right job for the people of the state of Connecticut, not making long-term decisions based on short-term frustration.
Senator Kane, let's talk a little bit about this lawsuit that was filed basically saying that this budget is illegal. You're not allowed to have this kind of a budget when you have so many contingencies.
Yeah, there's still a lot of problems with this budget. Representative Lesser mentioned taxes. It had included $1.6 billion in new taxes, probably the greatest tax package we've ever seen. As of to the time that we voted on it, it was not in balance, and it's still not in balance, and we are approaching June 30th. So I think there's a lot of problems with it. The majority party now wants to give the governor greater rescission authority when we don't have our balanced checkbook. So I still think there's a lot of issues. We mentioned the private sector. I got to tell you, if people in the private sector would love a no layoff clause regardless of the economy. So there's a lot of problems here that we need to address.
Kevin, 30 seconds left. We'll give you the last word. What do you think happens?
Well, I think that when 7,500 people get layoff notices, state employees in the unions, that means that over 35,000 don't get them, and they know that they're safe. And that may change. That really changes attitudes and changes the balance of power in this whole controversy.
Sure. Well, of course, keep following it. We'll see what happens. Gentlemen, thanks. Appreciate it. Enjoyed that. All right, Sarah, over to you.
Thanks, guys. Straight ahead on the Fox Connecticut Morning News. How a former star basketball player is helping Bridgeport's youth with a new summer program.